guys, it's Julia and welcome back to my channel, and for today's video I'm going to be doing a book review on A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J. Maas. If you don't know, A Court of Wings and Ruin is the third book in the A Court of Thorns and Roses series. Also following that is A Court of Mist and Fury, which is book 2. And if you want to know what this series is all about, you could check out my review on this book or this one. I talk about the synopsis in both, but feel free to go ahead and do that. I don't want to talk too much about the original synopsis in book 1 because I'm here to talk about A Court of Wings and Ruin. Who cares about the book 1? I don't right now, no. But basically, this is the conclusion of Feyre's story. So the Feyre's, following Feyre, I guess, is just in these 3 books, but there's going to be 3 more, I believe, but they're going to be in the same world, but following someone else, I believe. So this was the wrap up for Feyre's story. So this is all Feyre and Rhysand and yeah. So it was a concluding situation. It was a conclusion in a way. First, I'll talk about some of my non-spoilery thoughts. So first off, I loved it. I was very surprised that I love it. Usually I'm not a person who just loves books like these. I don't know how to explain it. I was just surprised that I liked it because everyone, it seemed loving it right now, and usually when that happens I'm like, oh, I probably won't like it because but after reading the second book, I wanted to read this one. I read this one straight after. And my heart, my soul, this was even better than A Court of Mist and Fury, so that was a shock to me too. And this book looks so tiny. I actually hate how deceiving it is. It's 700 pages, but it looks like 400, and I'm just like, what is this? Look at the size of A Court of Mist and Fury compared to this book. I'm like, huh? Because I'm pretty sure this is bigger. What? I don't understand. Basically, I love this book. I thought it was the best in the series so far. I thought there was a lot of character development. I thought there was a lot of plot development. Of course, there was a lot of drama going on. There was a lot of just situations happening and so much character development and the war. And yeah, so I'm going to get into spoilers right away. But basically, if you're wondering about my rating of this book, I think I'm going to give it 4.5 out of 5 stars, which is really high for me. If you've been here, I have only given 2 books 5 stars in my life. I'm very picky, and if a book's close to 5 stars, I'll be like, no, well, I can say this about, yeah. But I'm giving this a really high rating, which is really surprising to me, but it's going to be one of my favorites of this year. And I don't know, it's just an honor. Can we just get a round of applause, because this never happens to me. Anyways, let's jump right into spoilers. And yeah, so if you haven't read this book, leave now, come back when you've read it, and we'll discuss. But as for those who are staying, grab a snack, grab a blanket. We're gonna be here for a bit, and let's discuss this work of art. Basically, as per, if you saw my A Court of Mist and Fury review, if you want to check that out, I'll link that up on the screen. Self-promo. Okay. But along with that, I am going to be going over the tabs that I made, which in this book I made a lot of damn tabs. And I kind of want to reread it and make more tabs. Yeah, I need to restrain myself from rereading these books, because I think, I don't want to read anything else, but I'm going to. At the end of A Court of Mist and Fury, we have the whole situation where Feyre goes back with Tamlin to, get information, to, be a spy and all this shit. And I was like, okay, great. Luckily, we get this recent, reunion really soon in the book. They've got about 100 pages in, which I was like, good, because I don't want to wait over half the book for the reunion. So I was glad we weren't stuck with Tamlin for so long. But I love Lucien and Lucien's development throughout the story. He really just trusted in Feyre in a lot of ways, and he went with her to the Night Court, and he was there when Rhysand, when they had their reunion, and Lucien could just tell how much they loved each other. And I was just back a bit, Feyre has nightmares all the time. So there was this one point when in the book on page 50 when she had these nightmares, and I don't know, she was yelling or some shit, I don't even remember, but she's like, a nightmare. I told Tamlin I was the nightmare. Hey, yeah. Okay, so when Lucien and Feyre were out and whatever, Lucien's brothers, who are evil, Eris? I thought it was Eric, but I'm like, no, Eris? I don't know. And the brothers Lucien's brothers like attacked them, and like shit was going down. Like that was a good fight. I was like, yes please, like that was a good scene. And then Azriel appears and I was like, yes, the reunion's happening, like it's happening. And then I love when one of Lucien's brothers was like, there's no such thing as a high lady. A faint smile played on my mouth. There is now. And Rhysand and Feyre have their whole moment, and I was like, yes please, like this is great, I'm so happy. There's this picture, I'm gonna put it here. I found it on Twitter, and it's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, and it describes the scene so well. So this is amazing, like thank you for whoever did this. But yeah, then there's so much development with the sisters, like it's insane how much I could say about Alina? Ilya? I don't know how to say any of the names in this book, like Lord help me. But and then Nesta, okay, I can say that, great. Her sister, which I kind of liked seeing. After a while it got kind of old. I was like, please shut up. But in the same way, it's heartwarming. Like she cares a lot about her sister. She's protective of her around Lucien, which Ilya, the other sister, is very isolated at the moment. She's very scared. She doesn't know what's happening. And she's silent and goes away throughout most of the book. And Lucien's her mate. So I'm like, what's going to go down here? Like, I'm scared. But, so a lot happens with that. A lot happens with, so basically, after Feyre and Rhysand reunite, they bring Lucien as well back to the Night Court, and they're staying there at the moment. And then we have that scene where those ravens came into the library, which it was beautiful when Rhysand was showing Feyre the spot and saying how he like helped those women out and like he took them in and they live there, and how no one knows about it except for them and him. And I just thought that was beautiful, and that he goes there for like time to be alone, and like my heart was touched. And he brought Feyre there and showed her around. And when Feyre was in there with Nesta, that was a stutter. Okay, with Nesta, these ravens appear, which the other sister, because I'm gonna butcher that name so often. I don't know, it's not even a hard name, but I don't know. The other sister predicted this, and so then later we learn that she's like a seer, so she can like see things in the future, blah blah blah. So point, we learned something, and it's like the two ravens that like from the king that come in, they're like, you're an unexpected surprise too, the black hair once said to me, but your sister, a smile that showed all of his 2 white teeth. You took something from the cauldron girl, and the king wants it back. The cauldron is a huge thing in this book, and I absolutely love this cauldron, except in my head I kept imagining this like ghetto-ass bathtub, which it is a bathtub, it's the size of a bathtub, right? So like I kept imagining this like ghetto-ass bathtub the whole time, which doesn't like seem frightening to me. So I don't know, it was an interesting thing happening. But I love how we learn about the thing inside the library, and it's like terrifying, and those who have been down there, like they don't speak of it, they don't talk about it, and it just like it impacted them, they don't talk about it, blah blah blah. And when Nesta and Feyre are like running away from these guys, they like, Feyre's like, oh, let's just go down to the pit of the library. So like they're like down into the eternal blackness of the pit at the heart of the library and into the arms of whatever lurked inside. So this was amazing. And she makes a bargain with the thing. I'm getting ahead of myself. Makes a bargain with the thing, and then like Rhysand and them come down to like rescue her and stuff. But then we learn on chapter 33 that Illian is a seer. So she predicted this. It says she'd warned Nesta about the ravens, and in the chaos of the attack, the little realization had slipped from me as reality and dreams slipped and entwined for Alina, seer. So that was just a new realization for us. And then this part, she's saying, you stole from the cauldron, I said to Nesta, who seemed ready to jump between all of us and Elaine. But what if the cauldron gave something to Elan? Eileen, I don't know, man. What if the cauldron gave something to them? Because since they were both created by the cauldron, all this shit is just going on with them. And I feel actually so sorry for Nesta and her sister, because they're just going through a rough time. Like, they don't know what the hell's happening, and they both are having a lot of issues and dealing with a lot of shit. So I feel horrible for them. So when they did develop around the, like, throughout the end of the book, I felt so happy that they were like okay, and that they're like powerful, and I just love that. And we have this situation where so the next thing that happens, I guess, is when they want to look for that fifth? Is it the fifth? They want to look for the queen that's like, they thought died, but like she didn't die. Her name's like Vasa, which this was cool because they can like use her to help them. And Lucian volunteers. And I was just like, yes, like this is great. I was happy when Lucian volunteered because I thought that like that's good for him, like he's good. And then Moore, I love Moore. She's honestly the best. She's like, it will be very dangerous. And then Lucian's like, a half smile curved Lucian's lips. Good, it'd be boring otherwise. I honestly love all these quotes in here that are like, into the stars who listen and the dreams that are answered. It makes me so happy. Yeah, I mean, that's around 430 pages when Rhysand invites like the courts to discuss the war that's coming, and Tamlin walks in and he starts yelling, he starts raging, and I was like, at the same time I was like, I always want Tamlin to leave, but I kind of like the drama that he was kind of adding at this point, like with his yelling and stuff. I just found it amusing, especially how Rhysand and standed up for Feyre and how Feyre standed up for herself. And I love how Rhysand just like ripped Ability his way to speak to just shut him up. He's like, nope. And I was like, yes please. And I love when Feyre goes to make a bargain with the thing that lives under the library, lives at the very bottom of the library. And she says like, I'll get you whatever you need if you help us fight in this war. And he's like, the thing is like, oh, I want like a window. I want a skylight. And she's just like, okay. So they make the deal. And I just liked, like, he was like, one does not summon me. I summon you. I'm here to offer you company as part of our bargain. Like, Feyre was just like, I summon you. Don't even fuck. Like, yes. Can we just quickly mention, without being awkward, that the steamy sex scenes in this book were so much better than in Akamath? Like, they were so much better in here. In Akamath, I thought they were kind of like, we were waiting this whole book. There was so much buildup. There was so much angst. And then it was kind of like anticlimactic. So the fact that there was like really good ones in this book, like spread out, and like she wrote it really well. So I was like, yes, please. Like, I'm just saying, it's just facts, you know? Oh, I hate this Iantha or whatever her face is. Every time she was in any scene, I was like, oh my God, please kill me. I hate, This is one of my favorite scenes where Feyre leaves from the war and she goes to ask the, who is it? The Surreal, that's it. She goes to ask him questions about where the king's army is at. And then Iantha interrupts and blah, 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 which is pissing me off. And she kills him. Oh my God, the Surreal and Feyre's bond was absolutely beautiful. I loved them. I love how they like spoke to each, like, and he called her curse breaker all the time. And it was just so beautiful. And like, she was so nice to him and he was so nice to her. And I was like, this is nice. Like, please, yes. And Iantha appeared with like 2 other soldiers. And I love what Feyre did. She like she ran into like the Weaver's house and they followed her in, and then she like left, and then they got like eaten alive, I think. But they followed her like right into the Weaver's like cottage, and that thing just fucking shredded them to bits. But I love when the Surreal said to Feyre, leave this world a better place than how you found it. And when Feyre invaded the king's land and she was disguised as Iantha because they didn't know she was dead yet, and she goes into there, talks to Jurian and the king, and she sees this girl there that's like an innocent kid, and she takes her with Moore. They both get her and then get the hell out of there. But like, you know, shit happens and Tamlin kind of comes in and like helps out, and I'm like, what? And we get more information about Moore, which everyone complains about Sarah J. Maas's lack of diversity in her books, which I've read some of her books, and while I would admit, like, Throne of Glass, and that Throne of Glass series doesn't have much diversity in it. Mind you, I've only read the first 3 books. But in these last 2 books, like, there wasn't, like, diverse characters, I would say. I love these characters with all my heart, but, like, they're not, like, I don't want to get into that whole conversation. But we finally got something, and everyone's saying, like, online, like, this is her trying, like, she's putting in effort to, like, diversify her cast of characters. So we realized that Mor is actually, at first they say that she likes both, but she likes females more. We have this past lover story and how she met, like, her true love, Androne, who even knows how to say that, who was human, and, like, she couldn't be with her because the walls went up, and then, like, she saw her die, and she ended up getting married, that woman, and, like, then she saw her die. It was just so emotional. But it was just absolutely wonderful seeing Mor's soft side and hearing how Mor struggles, because, like, just how it was interesting seeing how Mor struggled, and we learned more about her, and it was just a really good scene, and it's just, like, really good for the series as a whole, and I was happy that she incorporated that in there. I have this thing with the I don't know, the bone carver. Anyways, he wants this freaking mirror, which if you look into it, it can, like, drive you insane. So he wants it in exchange for helping Feyre in the war, and for a while she refuses to get it because she's like, no. And during the war, she goes to get it, and she looks into it, and she sees something, but she's okay. She just sees her true self. And that took incredible bravery, and I, like, applaud her for that. But at the same time, then she goes to the bone carver, and he's like, oh no, I didn't want the mirror. I was just doing that so you would look into it to see your true self. And then he goes and helps out in the war. This about Mor: if I had not met my cousin, I would never have learned the light can be found even in the darkest of hells, that kindness can thrive even amongst cruelty. And Rhys says, to great joy and honor of my life has been known to you, to call you my family. I am grateful, more than I can possibly say, that I was given this time with you all. It's just before they go into, like, that final stage in the war, they have this moment, and Rhys is, like, super warm and just, like, loving, and I just love this scene so much, guys. It's got the Weaver to help, which was just fabulous, and I love when it's like, then the Weaver, the carver, and I don't even know how to say the name, but it's, like, the thing under the library, unleashed themselves up Hybern. And it was like, yes, like, yes. Thing with Amren near the cauldron, when Feyre, she's like, oh, I know how to fix it, like, it's all good. And then to stop the war, they have to, like, do this shit to the cauldron, and Feyre puts her hand on it, but she gets stuck there, and it's, like, draining her power. And Amren's just like, this is what, like, she was gonna recite a spell, but she just, like, throws the book. She's like, no. She just did that, but it was, like, betrayal. But then again, it wasn't betrayal because, like, you know, plot twist. And we have this other scene with the king, and we have a scene with Nesta and the king, basically. And Nesta, Feyre, and Alien's father come in. The father gets killed, which was absolutely horrifying. Like, I hated seeing Nesta and, like, the rest of their family suffering, looking at how, like, just that grief of losing their father like that in the middle of war, and how brutal it was. They were begging him to, like, come back. Like, it was just a really heart-shattering scene. And Nesta was about to die. Nesta was about to die when she was fighting the king. And then Eliane comes. She stepped out of the shadow behind him and rammed Truth-Teller to the hilt through the back of the king's neck as she snarled in his ear, "Don't touch my sister." Yes, this one I was like, yes, honey, yes. I was just so happy with what was going on. I was like, yes, please. Like, this book was, like, slaying my life. Like, I was so hyped up. Basically what happened with Amren is it basically says she exploded from the mortal shell, light blinding us, light and fire, and she was roaring. So she was like this, like, it was so confusing what happened at this point. And it's also hard to talk about because, like, I'm still, like, recovering from this book. But Feyre was about to die, and Rhys helps her. Like, I don't know how to explain this. This whole time when all this shit was happening with the father and Nesta and everything, Feyre was just trapped to this cauldron. Like, she could not move for the life of her. And then this stuff happened with Amren, and she was, like, glowing and stuff, and she looked at her arm, I believe, like Feyre like looked at her arm. But when Rhysand finally comes to like help out with what's happening, he gets inside Feyre's mind and he's like, oh, I love you, like, you know, you can get out of this, blah, blah, blah. And their mating bond, like, tattoo goes away. So I'm like, holy shit, right? But we realize then, it says, because his own chest, it was not moving, and Rhys was dead. Page 666. My heart dropped like it just went like, I could not take this scene. He basically said he kept his shield up so I wouldn't see, because I wouldn't have said yes. I would have rather the world ended than this thing he had done, and this emptiness where he was, where we. And basically, to wrap this up, Tamlin saves Rhys, which I was like, oh my god. And he's like, be happy, Feyre. And I love when Rhys woke up and he's like, if we're all here, either things went very wrong, very, very wrong, or very right. And basically, Amren gave up her immortality, so she's human, essentially. And when I love this scene when Feyre goes, my name is Feyre Archeron. I was once human and now I am Fae. I call both worlds my home. And I would like to discuss a treaty, so the wall between human and fae. So I just thought that was amazing. And she's like, a world divided was not a world that could thrive. The first meeting went for hours, many of us short-tempered with exhaustion, but channels were made, stories were exchanged, tales narrated by either side of the wall. I told them my story, all of it. And Tamlin, when he said, be happy, Feyre, at that one point when he helped Rhys, then she sent him a note saying, thank you, I hope you find happiness too, which I just thought that was good, that there was no more like, that the bitterness between them was, it's just like, obviously there's still going to be like love and there's still some hatred and like some love and sadness in what they had, Feyre and Tamlin, because they did love each other. So there's that. As much as I don't like Tamlin, I liked how their relationship ended. I thought it was really good just for the series as a whole. And the last two chapters, just like Akamath, are from Rhys and Feyre's perspective. So we get both of their point of views. Saying like how she never wanted to feel that emptiness. Like she felt the emptiness when Rhys died and then he was resurrected. The very end scene is beautiful when they like grab each other in their arms and they just fly away together. And she learns how to like fly. He's like telling her how to like put her wings out and fly, and they fly together. And when he brushed his wing against mine, just because he could, because he wanted to, and we've had an entirety of nights to do this, to see everything together, a gift, all of it. So it breaks between this book. I updated a lot of my reading on Twitter, so follow me on Twitter, self-promo, down below. Very emotional throughout this book. This book made me incredibly sad. It made me laugh. It made me not cry, because I don't cry, but it like hurt my soul. And I stayed up really late reading it last night to finish it, but it's a lot. There's like, I can't talk about it for too long because there's so much that happened, or else we'll be here for like an hour. Even when it's edited, it'd be like an hour long. So I don't want to mention all these little things, but I went through my tabs and some of the events in the stories. So I'm so looking forward to watching other people's book reviews on this as well, because I'm super excited just to see everyone's thoughts on it. But I absolutely loved it. I definitely suggest it. I think it's the best book in the series so far. And a lot of people are saying like there is some loose ends. I think Rhys and Feyre, I think Rhys and Feyre, the story ended really well. I think I like the way they ended off their story. And as there is some loose ends, like about Lucian and Ilian or whatever, and about like what Mor's gonna do, and about how the wall is like, how the human and the Fae wall, how that's like, it is gonna come down, but like how they're gonna reunite and how that's gonna go down. So that's gonna happen in the other 3 books, I'm guessing. But I think we got a really like satisfying ending with Rhys and Feyre, and I just loved how this whole book just wrapped up nicely. So I would highly recommend this. I'm sure you've read it if you've stayed this long, but yeah, I love these books a lot. So I am super happy about that. And I will see you guys very soon with a new video. Thank you so much for watching this video. I have like this past week or so, when I was reading these Akamath and Akawar, were so like just wonderful. Like I love my time reading them, and like they just make me so happy. Like I forgot how invested I could get in a book and how it's just emotionally killing me. It's like how I love reading and those feelings, I guess. I don't love feeling like empty, but like it's those feelings that help remind me how much I love reading and how much it's impacted my life, and I think that's absolutely beautiful. So yeah, those are my thoughts. I'll see y'all very soon with a new video. Bye.
My eyes, and I am dead. I know he knows that he's killing me for mercy, and here I go.